All right, and welcome to our 11th LD Talent Town Hall. Today we're going to be talking about marketing, and we're going to be talking about vetting, which are our big priorities right now as an organization. So I'm going to share my screen, and let's get started. Let's get started right now. So, so I like to start with either a quote or a joke. Now, I couldn't really come up with a joke. I struggled hard to come up with a joke because when you're trying to come up with a joke, it always becomes harder to actually come up with something funny. So I decided to pick a quote instead. And so here's the quote that I have for us. The quote is by Confucius, and it says, "Faced with what is right, to leave it undone shows a lack of courage." And I think that this quote is very interesting because if you look at this quote, faced with what is right. Now, one thing we know is our mission at LD Talent, it's really right. It's something that has to happen. It's something where we're looking at the world, we're looking at the fact that the majority of the world is going to be in South Asia and Africa, for instance. And yet, most of the entrepreneurs of the world who are starting global companies are not from those locations right now. So what we're doing with LD Ventures is certainly what is right. We believe that, investing in majority world entrepreneurs in South Asia and Africa and having them start global companies targeting, say, the US market, global markets, is absolutely what is right. But right now, no other organization is doing that. So we've built a talent network. We have a super strong talent network. And now what we're doing is we're actually letting the talent not only get matched to clients, but also create their own ideas. And so I just wanted to share a couple pieces of news with you. So one piece of news is that we have a new LD Ventures agreement that is more founder friendly. It's phrased in a way that LD does a profit sharing agreement with you, but down the road, if you want to file your own US corporation, if you want to get investment from other individuals as your company grows, we make that easier. And so I will post the LD Ventures agreement in the LD Engineers channel, in the general channel, and all of you can look at it. It's also in our Ventures template. So I'll share that with you. And another exciting news is that Jehoshaphat, who is one of our LD Ventures entrepreneurs, has launched his app to both the Windows and Mac test flight. And so we've been using his mental health Pomodoro timer app. And so we're actually seeing this happen. And I think we at LD Talent and LD Ventures are showing a lot of courage in that we are investing in an area where pretty much no one invests before. Yeah, Y Combinator and other investment firms, they invest in entrepreneurs in Africa and South Asia, but usually to target their local market. Examples are like Flutterwave or like Flipkart. They're targeting mostly their local market. But looking at businesses that are targeting global markets, but starting in majority world countries is something that requires a lot of courage. And I want to thank you all for sort of being part of that experience. So just wanted to share that news with you. Now, does anyone have any comments on this quote or these ideas that I've shared? Okay, so we should jump right into the next topic now. So we have hired a CMO. She's Nutan, and we also have Castro, who's involved in marketing. So I want to tell you a little bit about the marketing of our organization. So obviously, a big part of our organization is bringing clients to the Talent Network platform. And I think that the more clients we have, the more good clients we have, the more traction we'll get as a platform. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about what we're doing right now in terms of marketing, and then see if any of you had other ideas or feedback. So what our CMO and Castro is involved in is sending emails to companies that are hiring or are very likely to be hiring software engineers and designers. We have very targeted emails as well that provide direct suggestions of specific candidates. So if somebody is hiring for a React and Redux role that also requires some Django and Flask backend knowledge, we will send candidates that have those exact skills and name drop specific candidates to them in that email. We also have Castro. He reaches out in Slack organizations. And in addition, Nutan and Castro together work on different things. Like, for instance, Nutan works on social media blogs. So you might have social media and blogs. So you might have seen posts by Nutan on our blog and on social media. Now, in terms of partnerships, we have funds and incubators. So we've had a number of funds and incubators, including Y Combinator, list LD Talent as a resource. And so Nutan is going to be in this effort of getting more and more funds to list us as a resource, in addition to the 20 that we already had listed. And one of the things we do is we actually double down on those. Incubators, and we actually reach out to their portfolio companies and ask them to sort of hire from LD Talent. I think that another thing that we've had worked on, Boniface has worked on this before, other members of our team have worked on this, is SEO. So making our site SEO friendly. And now if you search, for instance, for Python Selenium developers just on Google, you will find LD Talent in the search results. If you search for some of the other skills, you'll also find LD Talent's list of 10 to 20 candidates on the search results. So in addition, we have a referral program where clients are awarded free credits for referring other clients. So those are some of the ways we've organically grown to having around 100 customers, 450 talent in our network. But as we look forward, we really want to grow much faster going forward. And so what we've started investigating is Google search ads, very targeted keyword ads. If somebody's looking for a Kotlin developer, we should show up under the ads with a list of Kotlin developers in Google search. And so we've already launched Google ads, YouTube ads, Facebook ads. Now, I'd love to sort of get some ideas from all of you about different ideas that we could do beyond what we've talked about right now that will help us come up with creative strategies for getting more clients into our network as quickly as possible. So in order to do that, I was actually thinking, if anyone has a suggestion right now, please do state it. After that, so first of all, I'll just stop here and see if anyone has a suggestion right now.
Hi, Gobi. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah. How are you?
Yeah. Actually, not a suggestion. I actually had a question. I wanted to ask. You say that LD currently has 100 clients. So I guess the question that I had was, what is the client retention rate? Like, do clients stay longer when they've already been attached to, for example, a talent, or do they leave faster? I mean, because at the end of the day, I understand the need to bring more people on board, but I guess it's also important to like have a good retention policy in place as well. It was more of a question. Does it make sense?
It's a great question, and it's actually kind of an investor question that an investor would ask us, and we're actually so one of the things so I think our retention rate is around 40%. What we define as a client is somebody who pays money on the platform. Sorry. So any individual who pays money on the platform is considered a client. And so now if a client comes in, this is an average case scenario. Maybe they, in 1 year, right? Say a client came in and then in June of 2021, they started hiring, right? And maybe they worked towards November of 2021. So maybe they spent a few months on the platform. Maybe they spent a few $1,000s. So maybe they spent, I don't know, $7,000 on the platform, something like that. That's a pretty kind of typical scenario. Then they would be considered a recurring customer. So maybe at the end of that, they actually did the buyout fee and they basically brought that person on full time. They paid 1K and they brought that person on full time in their company. So that person would just be considered a normal client. Now, a recurring client would be somebody who comes back, say in, I don't know, July of 22, and then engages in a similar sort of like they spend another 3K and hire a new developer. So that's how we're defining that. And I would say around 40 to 45% return. But I mean, both of them are valuable, right? Both of them are bringing business. Maybe a person who doesn't return, they might also refer somebody else. So those are sort of the scenarios. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then did
Thanks
you
for
have
that.
a follow-up question to that?
I guess what I was that actually does answer one of my question. I guess what I was following up on was maybe we have clients that come on board and they don't have like a good experience, and then when they leave, like we have a big chunk of clients that are coming on board and then they're dissatisfied with the services that they're getting, and then it kind of creates this brand problem, if I might put it that way, that we're not offering as quality talent as we might be advertising. So I just wanted to understand how that retention percentage looks like, just to get a mental grasp of how it currently stands. It was more
Okay.
of a curiosity question than anything else.
Yeah. So one is that our free trial conversion rate is around 85%. So initially clients are certainly satisfied. I think it's 85 to 90%. And so initially clients are certainly satisfied. Now, it is true that around 40 to 50% return. So, but that doesn't mean that the rest are not satisfied. They may or may not be satisfied. I think that most of our clients are satisfied, but I think that one of the things is that with individual developers, they may not be satisfied with certain ones over others. And so one of the important things for us is the next topic, which is vetting. So to create that sort of quality assurance that you were talking about. I think that another thing is just like what you're saying, having that brand value, a lot of it is in vetting. I think that another thing is just when they come into the platform, recommending multiple talent to them so they have multiple options, and then they really find somebody who really meets their needs. There's the work session system, which is supposed to solve for the satisfaction. Like you pay for the work you're satisfied, you continue with the talent you're satisfied with. But I do see what you're saying, that quality has to be really controlled for us to be able to have a really strong brand reputation for that virality to happen. So I guess I tried to address as many points of yours as I could, but I was wondering if there's anything that I kind of missed there.
No. Actually, the answer was very comprehensive. And again, I insist it was more of a curiosity question than anything else.
Yeah, I think that is something that we need to actively work on. And so I guess looking at the time, I think that, does anyone else have ideas in terms of marketing? Okay, so what I want to try is to create a sort of community feeling. I want to have us break up into small groups, maybe pairs or triplets, and I'll assign them in breakout rooms. And I'd like you to come up with at least one idea per breakout room, and then come back, and then we'll come back in 3 minutes and we'll discuss that each breakout room's idea. So I'm going to create, I'm going to assign automatically, and I'm going to create, since we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11 people here, I think that we should create 4 breakout rooms. Or actually, yeah, I think 4 breakout rooms is good. So let's go ahead and let's assign those, and we'll come back after 3 minutes. Does that sound good to anyone, everyone? Anyone have any objection? All right, so let's go ahead and do that. So opening all the rooms, and Okay, so hello. So maybe I can write come up with marketing idea. So for 3 minutes. Okay, and I think I'll join breakout room number 1. Oh, it'll stop my screen sharing. Okay, I won't do that. Okay, I'm gonna pause the recording. Okay, hello everyone, welcome back. Yeah, so I'm glad we did this activity. Hopefully you got to learn about someone new in our community. Now, let's start with, so I hope all of you remember your breakout room numbers. Yeah, so thanks Preet, nice to see you as well. And so
Yeah, nice to see you.
Nice to see you. It's been a while since we last met. We actually met, I actually visited Nepal recently, and so yeah, that was good. Now, I was wondering if we could start with breakout room number 1, if you could share some of the marketing ideas that you had.
I don't remember my room 1 because it didn't say any particular room number.
Okay. I think you were in room 1. Yeah.
I think I was in room 1.
Yeah.
I was with Adi Tayo. We discussed how exactly talent can retain the client, and we were about to discuss what kind of clients should be invited to the platform so that there is a success rate of the match working out, actually. So, Aditayo, do you want to say up your point, which you were sharing with me?
Yeah, okay, I will be fine. That's fine. Hello, everyone. So, my points when we discussed how we try to retain the client is how we communicate with the clients, because that is one of the key parts of it all. If the energy between the client and the talent isn't right, there's a high chance the client will not be willing to retain that talent, regardless of the satisfactory level. So that is one important point, communicating correctly with the client. And I think when we spoke about the marketing, we kind of mentioned what can we show for ourselves to allow people to notice LD talent and be willing to work with us, and also not just working with us, being able to invite more people over to look for talents and also retaining the clients we already have. That is all for my part for now.
That's fantastic. I agree that better communication will impress the clients, and it'll get them to talk, to their friends. You should hire from LD Talent because they have good communicators. How about breakout room number 2?
Are we breakout room number 2?
Go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine. Thank you. Okay, so we were basically discussing how LD can attract new clients, and we basically said that our target market is startups in mainly in developed countries and some in developing countries. And we were saying that in order to attract these clients and make ourselves known to them, we should tackle conferences, summits, things that places where basically startups are being gathered, are discussing their ideas and stuff like this. And we should market ourselves to them. Maybe, for example, trying to tackle or sponsor a summit that gather these startups and allow them to pitch their ideas to maybe investors or something like this. And we should make ourselves known to them in order to attract them to use our talents. I think Emmanuel was also saying something, but the breakout room, like we finished, the time finished before he could finish. Emmanuel, do you want to add something, or?
Yes, I would say good evening because it's evening time in Uganda time. Well, for me, what I see which is better or best is the communication between well, LD and the client, and then LD and the engineers. I've faced that challenge with communication. Not that communication is not done, but then the channels. Why I say communication is done is because we have different, like time zones, since we are LD is working with remote developers and remote clients globally. So the clients, I don't know, I mean, the clients where they're located, but I know clients are nearer to LD than developers. Developers are globally. So I would suggest that we work on the communication, SMS, as a channel. We could use all these other channels, Slack notifications, email, but then SMS, it's really so hard for some people to be that 24/7 or all hours of the day or the week, on internet to check on emails or even Slack notifications. So SMS would really do good. Of recent, I had issues. I don't know if it's only my my account with LD of SMS. I see an SMS flag or icon on a message flagged by LD, but then I've not received the message. I mean the SMS. Then after a while, I be online fine, but sometimes there's network issues. Yeah. So I received the email. The email comes at the time it has to come, but then I get to know it later because of that slight issue that I noticed. So if that could be taken into consideration, yeah, I believe it could do something. That's my view as far as communication is concerned.
Yeah, those are
But
really good points.
what
Yeah.
I think is everything relies in the communication, channels. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Obwa. So few things. So one is Omar mentioned startup conferences, physical venues where those startups hang out. I think that's absolutely something that we have on our list of to do, and we're already engaging in some of that in terms of getting listed by incubators and then reaching out to their portfolio companies via email saying LD has been listed as a resource. Now, in terms of the time zone communication thing, so actually we are an organization that prides ourselves across multiple time zones. And I know you said nearer to LD than talent, but actually LD is not based anywhere physically. We are a global organization. Our founders may be anywhere in the world at any given point in time. So we have founder in Nepal, founder in the US. So yes, technically, legally, we are a US corporation, but we believe that even our founding team and our engineering team is all over the world. So we don't think that we don't think of ourselves as fixed to any time zone as an organization. We're a global organization. Now, in terms of clients being in the US and such, that is true. And in terms of SMS Twilio not working for your country, that is a potential thing that we need to look into. I've made a note of that. But one of the other things that we encourage is for talent, when you confirm a time with a client, if they send you a calendar invite, then that's fine. Accept that and make sure to be there. But also set alarms for yourself for when you're convert the time zone. Set an alarm for yourself when your interview is. Also set your own event in Google Calendar if your client doesn't send you an event, and also just making sure to, sort of be very cognizant that to get an interview from a client is a good privilege. And so you want to make sure that you set your calendar and your alarms to notify yourself, because LD is going to do the Slack notification, but it's on you to set your calendar notifications. That's very important, to never miss an interview. Yeah, so Oba, please continue. Yeah. Oh, you're muted, but when you do continue, when you do unmute, I think one thing is I'd love to get your suggestions, but what can LD do more? Should we be sending, in addition to fixing the SMS and sending the email and the Slack notification, should LD be like automatically configuring a calendar invite? What more can LD do to make sure that the talent attend the interview call?
Well, you suggested one reason. I think LD should help us, if we agree with if, for example, I agree with a client that let's do this, most likely is a client going to give me, for example, his or her time, PSD, then you help out. I tried my best to try to do that Slack notification. There's that command, remind something. I always to do it, but normally it converts my time to something I don't really get it. Why I raised my hand, I was asking, there are two time zones I see. I see PSD, then PDT. So those two time zones normally convince to me, I think is the same, because when I go online, then I try to convert that time a client given me to my time. Sometimes it tells me, for example, it's 9 p.m. Ugandan time. Then I get surprised 2 a.m. in the night. A client has been waiting for me online, That's in the morning now when I wake up. And I think you saw I gave a notification in one of my interview channels that apologizing, it was late. I was expecting that it would happen at around 8.
Okay, well,
Uganda.
yeah, this makes a lot of sense. Obo. I think one thing that we can do is we can take your feedback as a suggestion of, we can make sure that at LD Talent, we do as much as we can to make sure that talent and clients both are setting the reminder for when their interview is. And I think Slack makes it super easy, where you can just say, set a reminder for 10 a.m. PST, and then it will remind you in your time zone at the right time. So I think, we're all engineers here, we're all technical. So, or we're designers, but we're still technical workers. But I think one of the things we need to do is that we need to make sure that we are careful, and we use the right online tools. There's a lot of good online tools for time zone conversion. So we use the right online tools to make sure we are responsible. And so I appreciate that, Obo, and we will see what more we can do. I'd love to move on to group number 3 now, in terms of marketing.
Maybe you need to tell a name, so it doesn't
Okay,
matter.
I think that Bijita and Preet might be group number 4. Okay, why don't Bijita and Preet just go now then? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, no, Gobi.
Hi.
Okay, you can go.
Sure. So we discussed about marketing as a whole. For the client retention, for the client side of marketing, we talked about how we can vet our developers more and show this vision of show that we have quality developers on the platform for the clients. But I do think that the vetting system, the vetting work that is being done will address that. We also talked about how we could reach out to more developers. I think we can reach out to like different technical communities that have a lot of developers around the world to reach out to more developers. So yeah, that's what we talked about. Would you like to add anything, Preet?
Hello, everyone. Yeah, that's what we talked about, and I think basically the more things can be done, I guess. But I guess it's more of a time thing. I guess that would be my last little bit of suggestion. Like continue to do what you have been doing in terms of marketing and trying to get clients as well. And I guess that's it. I mean, Vijita pretty much ended out our discussion. And yeah.
Now, one specific question has, you mentioned different technical communities. So right now we are trying to reach out in different Slack organizations. That's a big part of Castra's work, is different Slack organizations dedicated to tech in different cities all over the world and countries. And another thing that we do is join Google Groups, and we try to reach out and become part of those communities, offer value in our marketing effort. All our marketers are hired to do that, but also in addition to offering value, promote our network. Talent, please join our network. Clients, please use our network. And so I guess you mentioned different technical communities. One of the things that our admin did was also develop code that helps us crawl different universities around countries like, for instance, India. And we send emails listing our one pager, which Anisha designed, basically pitching our platform to different universities to list us as a resource. So their alumni and their students and their alumni join our network. And I think that we have gotten some traction in that sense as well, because those one pagers were shared with the students. Students did join, for instance, from many of the IITs. So I guess one question we have is, there are more technical communities, but maybe are they different from the ones that I've described? Are there other ways to do it, either online, or is there in-person effort required? How is that going to logistically work and also be scalable and cost effective?
I think what you're doing is great. I'd like to just add one more platform. I think Discord is also a really good platform with a lot of tech communities right now. So if we could also, like reach out on there and find communities over there, I think it would be good.
So Castro, actually, if you're there, that's actually a really good suggestion. I think you've already started a little bit. I've started seeing more Discords that you've been reaching out to. So hopefully this is useful information for us, Castro. Yeah. Okay. So now I think that we can go on to the final breakout group, which was, who hasn't gone yet? Mukesh and Maina, have you gone? Or were you together?
I think Maina and Maina.
Maina and who were you with?
Myself, Mukesh, and
Okay.
Castro.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, if Mukesh and Maina, and if Castro, if you're there, if you could share, that would be good.
I think what we shared is very similar to what Vijita and Preet just shared. It's more of creating a community in campus in the mostly universities, so that we could be able to expand the brand, which is something that you just mentioned that is already being done. So on top of reaching out to alumni and people who already need the LD talent and joining as client, also to be able to reach out to potential talent that is in the universities themselves.
Mhm.
And kind of have like a budding community of sorts. Similar to what GitHub does with, I think GitHub has a program that they do in the university as well as Microsoft. So just to be able to create a form of a culture in university communities that brands LD as a tech community that can be viewed as a platform where not only people who want good talent can come to, but also a platform where talent can come and get meaningful work while still growing in their career, especially due to the fact that one of the things that university graduates want is to be able to have that tangible experience that they can be able to take as a trajectory. So it's kind of similar to what you just shared. I don't know whether Mukesh or Castro wanted to add on to that.
For me, I can say what Mina shared is exactly what we had discussed. So it's okay. That is exactly what we've discussed.
Excellent. Thank you, Mina and Castro. And Mukesh, would you say that's also what you also heard from the group as well?
Yeah, we have discussed in the our group, and that already told by Maina.
Perfect.
So,
So yeah, go ahead.
yeah, okay, I'm done.
Okay. All right. So we should move to the next topic, which is very important and hopefully addresses some of the concerns that we brought up. I'm glad we talked about marketing first, because now we'll be able to talk about the vetting in a more meaningful way. So Anisha designed the LD resume form where you actually enter in your detail. Hi, Francis. Nice to see you as well. I think that she is going to incorporate some LD training into the form itself. Like, for instance, Mukesh, you actually gave us an important piece of feedback just with your messages, which is like, where do we track the work sessions? And other people, they don't know how the system works until they actually just jump into it. And yeah, there is some information on our website or deep in some FAQs, but we're thinking that we should actually make a quiz in the resume form itself where we show a video of this is how you use the platform to get clients, to convert clients, how you succeed in interviews, how you succeed in tracking work sessions, how it all works. 5 to 10 minute video explaining that. And then in the resume form itself, in order to get your account activated, you have to answer a few questions that make sure that you're on the same page. That way, once you jump into our Slack, you're ready to go. You sort of know how it works. You know how it works to get clients and how to work for them and how to make sure that they're actually doing a good job. So how do you sort of help the client manage their project even? So that is one idea. I think another idea that Vijita and I are working on is worker versus learner. Vijita, did you want to sort of like just in one sentence or in a couple sentences describe what we're thinking about worker versus learner?
Sure. So basically, what we're thinking about doing is we're going to differentiate our freelancers in two groups, that's workers and learners. So workers are basically people who are more experienced on this platform, who've worked with clients or who've got experience in their resume. So those are workers, and learners are basically the people who are new to tech, or maybe who've not got enough experience about working with clients. So they're basically the learners. Do you want me to explain the conversion process as well, or?
Maybe I'll try to cover that topic right now itself. So basically what Bijita and I that's a really great description of the sort of cutoff of worker and learner. And we will get more feedback on this from you. But basically what we're saying is right now we have two conflicting goals, which is one goal is we want to provide the clients with really high quality talent. So we build that brand name that Mina described at the beginning of this town hall. The other thing is we want to create a learning community where we support everyone in their learning and career growth, which has been mentioned by many of you. So how do we reconcile those two differences? Well, what we were thinking was we have the standard process right now, but we make a few modifications. As I said, we modify the resume form in a specific way. We talked about that. The interview is being scored by our admin, but we're going to make sure that those interview scores appear on the profiles. Some of the profiles do have them. More of the interview scores should appear. And that's fine that they start with that score. But as they get client reviews, their sort of overall star rating will go up, even if their interview score was lower. With client ratings, it'll go up. But after the interview, we still don't know whether somebody is, a worker or a learner, like whether they are somebody that'll really impress clients or they're still in the learning phase. So what we're thinking is we'll incorporate the interview score, we'll incorporate their experience, but then we'll also have coding challenges. So Vijita is working on a project where she's building out coding challenges and soft skill challenges. The way it works is we're all, there's these coding challenge sites are a dime a dozen, LeetCode, HackerRank, et cetera. So we don't want to reinvent the wheel there. Essentially, we just created a system where you go out, make a video of yourself solving a coding challenge and explain that in a screencast, upload that, and then LD Talent orchestrates a peer review, and then we include those scores. And a person, if they do one hard coding challenge, or if they do one medium level coding challenge, and one soft skill challenge and one lifelong learning project, then if they meet those specific criteria, then they would be considered a worker. Until then, they're considered a learner. So we basically know how they code, and then they're considered sort of a worker. Until then, they're considered a learner. That way we have a quality bar in terms of technical ability. In addition to that, if somebody gets a client as a learner and they do a great job on a client, they work a lot of hours, then they don't need to do the challenge. We know they could also be classified as a worker. But basically, until we have a guarantee that somebody is able to code well, is able to produce highly performant and accurate code, we do not classify them as a worker. And we don't know about these names also. We're thinking, Anisha and I were discussing, maybe these names, worker and learner, are not perfect. Learner is maybe okay, but worker is not exactly the best name. So we're thinking about different names, and maybe we could take ideas for that as well today. But that's an overview of the idea of worker versus learner and what the cutoffs might look like. Now, I think we'll take ideas in summary at the end of this, but I was wondering, Omar, if you could just in one sentence describe what we're doing in terms of code quality analysis. So our CPO and other members of our HR team actually review resumes all the time. Resumes come in, people include their GitHub handle as well. And we don't do much with that except manually look at it. So what Omar has developed is a system that basically downloads all their code from their GitHub, runs plagiarism analysis, which basically compares against all the other code that we have collected into our system. From every single applicant to LD Talent, we store all their code, and then we check for this new applicant coming in, what is the unique code that they've written? And then in that unique code, let's run some AST on it, meaning let's take the abstract syntax tree of their code base. Let's analyze how many models have they set up, how many views have they set up, how many templates have they set up, have they used complex logic and things like that. And we produce an output report. And so you'll actually see that out report in just a second. But Omar, I'd love to sort of get your thoughts on, in a couple of sentences, what have you worked on and why might it be useful?
Okay, I think you have summarized the whole thing perfectly, but basically we're trying to get a code report which describes what actually has this developer actually coded himself. So we're doing a plagiarism checker, which cuts off the files that he just copied, or the library files basically, and we're getting the files that he wrote himself, and we're trying to get like how many machine learning frameworks he used, how many libraries he installed, what is the code that he himself has written is complex or not? Does he use complex logic? Is he well documented? We're trying to we're gonna improve on the well documented part later, but that's basically what we're trying to achieve from this code report. But I think, as I said before, Gubi summarized the whole thing perfectly.
Yeah, Omar, that was really good detail. As you can see, it's an important project and a very valuable project. Now, Anisha designed our new talent page. And one of the things that I want to kind of show you at this stage is what are the opportunities available and how we can make the system more essentially people to leverage our system more. Because right now, people are not leveraged. There's some people are doing blog projects, but beyond that, it's not being fully leveraged. So what we're saying here is, how do we get people to fully leverage our system? And so Anisha designed this talent page. So if you look here under the Apply as Talent tab on our website, you can see, if you scroll down, as a talent, what do you get out of the network and also the steps. But the big thing here is there are more than one opportunity. So there are the video projects. You don't have to necessarily do a lifelong learning blog project. You can also make it a screencast video, which only one person has done so far. coding challenges that Bijita has developed. There's reviewing projects which people do. There's also LD Ventures. So there's many ways, if you aren't getting a client, to actually not only make money on LD talent, but also learn new things and build out your own ideas. And that'll actually give people the experience and solve the chicken and egg problem of, without experience, how do you get experience? Without experience, how do you get a client? And things like that. But then one of the things Bijita and I talked about was just, it's difficult for people to actually do their own initiatives sometimes. Some people have their own ideas and it's great. But for people without ideas, it's actually a little bit difficult to come up with something on their own. So one things that Omar and I worked on and just released just yesterday was this idea of what if we actually auto-suggest a sort of like what you should work on, and then people can change it up. So here's the idea, and it's still on our dev, in fact. Let me share my screen and show you. So the idea is basically to a freelancer, hi Maina or hi Mukesh, to make yourself in demand and to get clients, we encourage you to do a lifelong learning Q&A project in the domain of education. So you're building some kind of education app. You need to incorporate SEO, and maybe you set up your server in Python and PHP. Maybe you do the front end in TypeScript, and maybe you can host it on Google Cloud and use any APIs that you'd like. Your project should offer something new, but if you want to do a video screencast or coding or tech soft skill challenge, a blog instead, you can do that too. And you'll be paid money to do this, but the real compensation will be when the upskilled version of you is in more demand. We send this to all of the members of our network, and all of these things get varied up. They get randomized. So different skills are picked, different domains. We get a collection of interesting projects. Essentially, anyone who's not getting clients, who's expressing interest in client projects, we tell them, this is a concrete way you can get paid for working on yourself, and then you will get clients. And so that is the general idea as well. So I just wanted to share that we're doing in terms of vetting as well. And then I'm going to jump back to our slides since we only have around 5 to 7 minutes left in our town hall. And so you've seen this. The coding challenges is something that Bijita has worked on. We still need to redesign it, but essentially you jump onto a page, and this is what I was telling you about. We link to different coding challenges, and you submit your video link to your solution, and it actually times you while you're doing it. We have it in web development, we have it in game development, we have it in AI ML, and this is something we're going to launch. We're going to do it in even design, even in things like soft skills, like project management. And we have them, anything you can do, you submit a link, and then some 2 or 3 people in our network will go through and they'll peer review. They will tell you, how you looking at this video of somebody solving this challenge, how elegant was their solution? How correct was their solution? And then we average the peer reviews. And this way we'll sort of be able to get a clear idea of the sort of quality of our talent in a scalable way. And so that's the overview of vetting that we have planned so far. Now, what I'd like to show you is just this slide. This is what we believe makes all the components that come into making a great tech talent, basically. And when you look at this diagram, this is something that Anisha made. You can see that all of the different vetting elements are incorporated in this one graphic. This will be on the profile in the new redesign of the profile. So I'd love to just stop here and take comments and questions and ideas for 1, how's this? And 2, how can we make it better? And this is our last topic for the meeting today. Oh, sorry.
I think, if I may speak.
Yeah.
I think making someone record himself or video himself while solving a challenge is not that beneficial. Maybe if he solved a couple of challenges in a certain time period, maybe you can give him basically a code exam or a code test that he can solve in a time limit, and if you solve this code in a certain complexity, for example, he passes our like learner versus worker test, and instead of just instead of making him video himself and make someone review his code after.
Right, but how do you
prevent?
prevent them finding the solution online or cheating or anything like that? We couldn't come up with another way because we've tried Codility, we've tried other platforms, but almost all of them you can just find the solution online, or you don't have a genuine idea that they genuinely solve this problem. Yeah.
Maybe you can ask him to explain it in details. You're gonna provide him with the time, like the time limit that he should solve this problem in. And I think the time limit should be proportional to the difficulty of the problem. Like there are some problems that should take just this time to solve, and he won't be able to like search for the solution online and come up with the solution and implement it in the time frame that you will provide. I think that's one solution. The other solution is make him explaining in details how he did that. And the third solution is try to make a system in which you can detect if he copy and paste the code, and that's very possible.
I mean, you did work on the Stanford Moss
Yeah.
fork that detects plagiarism detection. Those are interesting ideas. Yeah, there are different parameters we can play around with, like video versus no video of your own video. Maybe you could do a screencast without showing your own video, but with your voice where you're explaining. Maybe the explanation could be text-based, but then we'd have to run plagiarism checking on that. So there's a lot of constraints that we have to deal with, but that is good feedback. And we'll go through this again and think about what is the best policy we can have in mind. That's good, Omar.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hello.
Yeah.
I would like to say something concerning the coding challenges.
Yeah.
As a front-end developer, I feel, and this is me having been in front-end communities and having discussion with different people, a lot of front-end developers would always prefer challenges to be based more on front-end projects than data structures and algorithm. The reason being, someone might be good at data structures and algorithm and might not necessarily be able to put a front-end application together, and someone might be better at front-end application, but it might not really be good at DSA. And this is things I've seen. I know a handful of people who are better than I am at the data structures and algorithm, and I am better than them when we are creating web applications or websites. So a lot of times it doesn't really, for front-end developers, this is me speaking for front-end developers, is it doesn't really measure skills of a front-end developer when you give them a data structure and algorithm coding challenge. So you could, what we could do is maybe specify, for example, we want to challenge someone to build maybe let's say a carousel. Then we could set some value, some test values that will need to be met. Maybe modularize the components and ensure components are used, and just some kind of front-end tests. I'm trying to just think of an idea. I know TripleByte, DevSkiller, and some other website, they have the kind of test you can run through for each challenge. So that way it is easier for us to get people that are genuinely good at front-end development, rather not just someone that just that is just better at data structures and algorithm, because people are different and some people are better with logic than others. So that's just my own 2 cents.
One, that's a really great point. And actually that's one of the main things that we had in mind when thinking about this system as well. So we have crawled not only front end and back end, but like we have crawled, Abhijita has crawled coding challenges from challenges even in soft skills, even in UI and UX design. So we certainly don't want to limit them to just backend algorithms. I think most of our questions here are actually not backend algorithms. There's all kinds of diversity in our questions. That being said, maybe we do want to separate out front end and backend. Or even one of the things I noticed is that even though this is random, they're all coming from Code Wars, even though we crawled from Kaggle and HackerRank and stuff. So basically we should look into this, but maybe it's just the ratio. But we do want to sort of make sure that not all of them are algorithms, and people do see things like what you're saying, Aditayo, about front-end challenges and such. And anytime somebody doesn't like a challenge, they can of course refresh the page and get a new one. Oh, here's a lead code one, but this looks kind of like an algorithms one. Whereas they could refresh till they get a front-end one, but we should probably make that a little bit easier. So I agree with you. And yeah, so
thank you.
Do we have any other comments on this? Okay, well, to be mindful of everyone's time, it's been around an hour. So I would just love for you, and I'll put these links in the chat as well. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to our YouTube, our Facebook, our Twitter, our LinkedIn. We share a lot of interesting details about our platform and all those different social media platforms. So we'd really appreciate your support in terms of subscribing and following. And thank you so much for your active participation. This has been by far the most interesting town hall, the most active one, where we've gotten participation from almost everyone. So many of you showed your video. So many of you contributed to this idea session. So I think all of you are committed to the ideas that we have, which are the diversity. Diversity is the future of work. And I am so thankful to all of you for that.